everybody, this is Epic Zeus here, and today we're going to pit my i7 920 and my EVGA GTX 750 Ti for the Win Edition plus the Cessna 172 versus New York City. And we're going to do this on high settings, and we'll probably have to back off some of the settings because simple fact that I'm streaming, it's live streaming, and I also have cam running in the background. So you have cam, should be over here on the top right of your screen. That's cam. That's going to show you the load, the temp, the load, and the load on the graphics card. So you got the fan speed here. Now, just be well aware that we're just sitting here. It's 33% already on the CPU, 55% on the GPU, and we haven't even started the plane up yet. Now, a lot of that load can be contributed to OBS, which OBS is reporting that it is using 6.6% of the CPU. And then I don't think I have anything else running in the background. No, I have Restream Chat, which is showing up in the background, and Cam. And besides the other Windows stuff that runs in the background. So we're going to take off, see how this thing performs on high, and we're probably going to back down the world. So we have, this is just to show you, we have everything set to high, high HDR, high texture quality, anti-aliasing is the FXA, medium 2 on the reflections, and high on the world number world objects. Now we're probably going to have to back that off simply because, down the medium, simply because we're live streaming and OBS is going to take up a lot of that CPU usage. So we might have to back that off. We might have to back down the reflection detail a little bit. We'll see. But we're going to keep the visual effects and textures at high. And when I'm talking about if it can handle New York City, I'm talking about not just flying over. I'm talking about, you know, doing crazy shit that you would never do in a real plane, like flying down through the streets and stuff like that. And because I think that's a lot more intense than actually just flying over the damn thing. So that's what we're going to do. That's what I have lined up. Let's go ahead and get started. We're at Teterboro in New Jersey, and let's go ahead and get some fuel flowing into the Cessna. We've got the fuel flow, turn fuel pump off, beacon on, and let's go ahead and start this thing up. We have it started, and we are ready to go. Now the frame rate is up here, and I am running Airport Environment HD. I am running better sky colors, which is a Lua plugin. I'm better running the X-Plane 11 fix. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the background, and let's just get started. So this is the one let's turn avionics on first before we. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not worried about this flight being realistic at all. It's not going to be. I just want to test performance
Somerset weather
of an i7, of this i7.
Visibility 10.
And we don't need to hear that stuff. This i7, it's a first generation i7. The 750 Ti is a low range graphics card, and let's see how we can fly. And we're live streaming, so I can already see that the frames are about 18 frames a second on the frame counter, even though it's still completely flyable. As usual, I like to sit up higher. So I'm at 18 frames, supposedly, in-game, 17, 18 frames. And you look around, it's not really laggy. I don't have any screen tearing. I don't have VSync turned on, so I don't really see any screen tearing. Anything like that. So let's go ahead and turn. Our frame rate is dropping. It's staying around 19, which X-Plane says is borderline for this. Temperatures is 62. CPU load is about 35%, 41%. There's New York on the skyline there. So we're still at high settings on everything. We're only getting about 20 frames a second. 63 degrees on the CPU, 40% load. The fan is not kicked on high though. 73% load on the graphics card. So there's New York. And the CPU usage is climbing now. So now we're at 99%. If we're going to see any really bad frame rates, it's going to be now. Once we get into the city. So the water cooler fan hasn't kicked on yet, which sometimes it does once it gets close to 70. Once it ramps up because the fan is actually on. So this is the stock X-Plane scenery for New York, but it's it is nonetheless demanding. Now, I guarantee you I would never be able to do this on my AMD FX 6300. It just wouldn't do it. And we'll go through one pass with the settings on the number of world objects on high, then we'll lower it down to medium, we'll load the reflections down to medium. Now you can already see what the reflection is doing. We have reflections of the clouds on the water. We should have reflections of the building on the water. So we'll do three passes through the city. So we'll do this pass with everything on high, then we'll lower the world objects down to medium, do a pass through, and then we'll lower the reflections and see what happens to our frame rate. But you can already see the reflections of the clouds on the water. And we will just now go in and start being idiot and seeing how the sim reacts. So here we go. So this would be like some GTA 5 flying if you're in the GTA 5 or something like that. Totally non-realistic. Well, so now we're down to 12 frames a second now. It says 72% high usage. We're at 99% on the GPU, 36% on the CPU. Frames have come back up though, since it's not drawing, having to draw them. So low. We're just going to make a turn here. And we're going to go up through here. Hopefully not crash into any of these buildings. Still completely flyable. And let's fly down this road. 17 frames a second, still flyable. Completely maneuverable. I don't know how it looks on the stream, but I'm just bobbing weaving between these buildings. Now some of these buildings you can actually fly through. A lot of these buildings you can't though. So let's make this bank. We've got the reflections here. Reflections don't seem to be causing any frame rate drag, but what the hell is that building doing in the middle of the damn river? I will never know. So, let's see if we can fly underneath one of these bridges. Again, we're stressing the i7 920 and the GTX 750, see what it will do. So we're 18 frames a second. I mean, the plane is totally controllable, even 18 frames, which is, you know, people make it a big deal. What are your frame rates? What are your frame rates on Flight Simulator? It really doesn't matter unless it's just totally unplayable. It's, you know, 19 frames a second or 18 frames a second or a first-person shooter, not playable whatsoever. 18 frames a second on a Flight Simulator, totally playable. Yeah, it might not be as fluid, but totally playable. Okay, let's go underneath this bridge here. This may be the wrong bridge to go under. Let's find another bridge. But the reflections, the building reflections on the water don't seem to be taking a making a hit on frame rates at all. And now these are the small waves. There's two settings: there's small waves and short wave and tall waves. Here's the bridge I want to go under. These double stacked bridges with the tram metro lines on them, I didn't want to go under. So we flew underneath that bridge. So look at that. Look at the reflections. Isn't that beautiful? So like I said, this is the X-Plane fix. It's on xplane.org for the reflections. Just look at that. Okay. So. Oh, let's don't hit that building. So flown through here on a high. It's been averaging about 17 to 18 frames a second on high settings through New York City. Don't do this at home. So there we go. 17, 18 frames a second, maybe. Let's fly back over New Jersey here, and we'll lower the. What we're going to do is we're going to lower the number of world objects to medium and see what happens then. That's going to load. Now, if any time my fan is going to kick on, it's going to kick on now. So we'll get up to 70 degrees as we're loading more scenery files. Fan has kicked on a little higher. So it's up to 1700 RPMs, 1800 RPMs. It's pretty amazing. This i7-920 is made in 2008, so we are. It's about a 9-year-old CPU, 8 or 9 CPU, 8 or 9-year-old CPU, and then this GTX 750 came out in what, 2014 to 2013, something like that. So it's a low-end card. So if this was on my SSD, it'd load a lot faster, or it's not on the SSD. I didn't even look at RAM usage at all. Look up here. Okay, here we are. Now we're on medium settings, and we just only thing we changed was the number of world objects. So let's turn back to New York City, and we have fewer buildings, and we're gonna fly through here again, and we're getting about 22, 23 frames per second. Now X-Plane says the minimal frames per second for realistic flight is 19. However, I think at 18 they should need to lower that, because 18, 17 is actually flyable. I looked a little weird coming around there. The buildings looked a little weird at that frame rate. Let's take another trip. We'll go down around this building here. Now mind you, all we changed were the number of world objects. And that increase the frames by about 3 or 4 frames per second. We're only 70% loaded on the GPU, only 40% loaded on the CPU. So I'm thinking, when it comes to the CPU, is that this thing is only overclocked. It has a base clock of 2.6 and it's only overclocked to 3.6. So a higher clock speed will probably give you better results. So yeah, 20 frames a second, totally reliable. Now let's just see what the world reflections. Well, I don't know if the world reflection is going to make us reload, so I don't really want to touch that. You know, let's go down to medium, see what happens. Okay, that didn't do anything. Well, we're actually not flying over water anymore either. Let's see how that setting affected the reflections of the buildings. Might have gave us another frame or two. Not much. And you don't see the reflections of the buildings anymore. So if you looked here, now if I turn the reflections back on, we should see the reflection of those power lines there in the water. Because it says it recommends medium 2. There we go. So you need at least medium 2 to see the reflections. So yeah, is the i7 920 coupled with the GTX 750, is it capable? I think it's capable. It's a lot more the capability is higher than what I had on my GTX, not my GTX, but the AMD FX 6300. So yeah, I'm perfectly happy. Like I said, if I upgrade, I'll upgrade to a Xeon X5690, which is you can buy them all day long for $125 on eBay. They're all pulled from servers. They're 6-core, 12 threads, base clock 3.4 gigahertz, and base clock of 3.4 gigahertz. And I think the turbo clock's 3.7 or 3.9, and you can buy them for $125. They're socket LGA 1366, which is what this is. They'll fit directly in the motherboard. And so yeah. So can the i7 920 and the GTX 750 handle New York? Yes, it can. And thank you for watching.